Right, now we'll move on to petitions. I would now like to inform members that we have received a petition titled Save Edgware Now. Can I ask any member who sit on the Strategic Planning Committee to leave the chamber now, because you will be, you have got interest and you have to sit on the committee later. The lead petitioner, Anuta Zack, will have 5 minutes to speak to address the council on this petition. The time starts now. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for allowing us to present our petition and to speak at this meeting. The petition has over 5,500 signatures, representing local residents' concerns and objections to Ballymore and TFL proposed master plan. This would be the biggest change to Edgware in 100 years, but unlike the arrival of the underground, it brings no progress. It will in fact disadvantage the disabled, elderly and vulnerable.
Edgware, as a functioning town, would be decimated. We would lose our bus station, our covered shopping centre, our only car park, and gain one of the densest, if not the densest, developments in the country, with no clear plans for supporting infrastructure. That the council may receive money to support infrastructure is meaningless without a clear, costed, accompanying plan to show how it will be used to address the issues created by the development. Edgware Town Centre presently has almost no vacant shops. The Broadwalk, a covered shopping centre, is fully let, and we are uniquely well served with banking facilities in the town. We have a car park with over 1,000 public spaces and 200 staff spaces. We have a manned bus station that is fully enclosed, well lit, has 68 seats, a refreshment kiosk, indicator boards, and is less than a minute's covered walk from the tube station. It is a safe, well-lit, secure, protected space for the elderly and vulnerable. Indeed, Edgware is doing better than a great deal of towns, locally and nationally. What is proposed is to create the UK's first electrical underground bus garage with a bottleneck design. There are currently no established safety protocols, and no one can provide reassurance about the fire risks of electric vehicles on thermal runways. In short, Edgware's new bus garage will be an experiment, with 10,000 people proposed to sleep above it. This has undoubtedly created great anxiety, especially considering the Grenfell cladding at Premier House. The bus station is to be demolished, and instead, we will have several open-air bus stops dotted around Station Road and the deceptively labelled Station Square, which is really a shallow bus gyratory roundabout. Station Road will lose a significant number of its parking spaces. This will decrease security and convenience and increase traffic and congestion. Edgware's transport interchange currently benefits from a much used and valued pick-up and drop-off point, which is being lost. If replaced at all, it will be out of sight of the station and caught in a one-way system. Ballymore and TFL propose 3,828 units on a 7.2 hectare site, equating to a population density of 139,000 people per square kilometre. The present densest development in the UK is Mill Harbour at 90,000 people per square kilometre. The population density of Hong Kong is 110,000 people per square kilometre for context. The sheer scale, mass and density is of an unprecedented scale and doesn't follow what is deemed best practice environmentally. This gross overdevelopment is informed by the Edgware Growth Area SPD. This policy was passed in 2021 during COVID and lockdown with the engagement of 219 people in a town of close to 80,000 people. We cannot believe that the required level of consultation for major changes of policy was met in this case. Cabinet Office consultation principles, updated in 2018, require public bodies to make clear, concise, targeted consultations, and this just did not happen here. The National Planning Policy Framework, which governs all new developments in the UK, maintains, in section 11B, a presumption that new buildings should not be a density significantly out of character with the existing area. Surely there couldn't be a clearer contravention of this principle. Now, instead of the
You've got
Broadwalk
30
car park,
seconds left.
the only public car park, there will be 250 Sainsbury's spaces below the relocated store, usually 500 for a full-size superstore. The 10,000 new residents will have 425 dedicated parking spaces. There will be no staff parking, meaning the space designated even for a potential medical centre comes with no parking. So how many other parking spaces will there be left to serve all of Edgware's residents, all the shoppers?
Your time is up. Thank you. Okay. Now, members are invited to ask questions of the lead petitioner. I would like to allow 2 questions per group with a total time allocation of 5 minutes in total. I will take the questions from the administration first. We have got names here. Councillor Cook.
Planning committees make their decision on the basis of whether applications can be allowed under the borough development plan. When the current borough development plan was developed under the previous Conservative administration in 2021, I'd like to know whether the residents realised they could contribute to that plan, or does it seem there was a failure by the council at that time to ensure residents knew there was such an opportunity to do so?
Would you like to answer the question, please?
I can say that most residents were completely unaware. It was in the midst of COVID. The consultation started in January 2020 and terminated in March 2021. We were mainly locked down or shielding. So I lived within meters of this development. I had absolutely no idea. I can say that probably all of the people here, nobody knew about it at all.
Thank you. Now, can I ask a Conservative member to ask a question? Do you want, anyone wants to ask a question? Yeah, Councillor Cohen.
Yeah, I think the member of public who was speaking didn't get a chance to finish her deputation or her speech on her thing. Perhaps she can finish it.
So you're asking a question to finish it? Is that your question?
Asking if she's still got more to say. That's the question.
I could say that we're going to have 94 parking spaces for a catchment area the Barnet Council in 2013 deemed 400,000 people. How many of the existing retailers will survive a 10-year build and the loss of car parking? We don't think many. Far from being the proclaimed regeneration of Edgware, we think it's the death knell of our town centre. On behalf of the 5,500 signatures to the petition, we ask you to do the right thing by Edgware.
Thank you. Councillor Nagby. Can you ask your question, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I suppose I'm interested in understanding why residents and the lead petitioner felt that this was the correct forum in which to raise this particular issue. I would have thought that had they consulted with their local elected representatives in the ward, they would have told them the impropriety of bringing a quasi-judicial decision to full council, which isn't empowered to make such decisions. But succinctly put, I suppose my question is, are residents aware that the most we, the full council today, will be able to achieve is to put together or instruct officers to put together a report to be presented to the Strategic Planning Committee as and when a planning application is submitted to the local planning authority? Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to answer that question?
I don't have your experience on planning applications, but we're not objecting to, there is no planning applications. This is a ginormous proposal. I did a survey in Edgware for who knew that Edgware was Barnet's only major town. 4 people knew. So don't expect me to understand the nuances of council. But what we do know is that we haven't been heard. 219 people were consulted. And we're suddenly faced with towers and density that is unheard of. And it's not unreasonable for the residents of a town that is going to be decimated to want to be heard. But it's also a giant proposal. It's not one planning application. It's a whole concept.
Yeah. I've got 37 seconds, but you can a quick question if you want to ask from the Conservative, because I want to give equal chances. If not, we will move on to speakers. Yeah, speakers? Okay, thank you. So, following, we will then take up 8 minutes for debate with 2 speakers per group for up to 2 minutes each. One of the speakers from each group is requested to propose a response to the petition in one of the following ways. Number 1, take no action. Number 2, provide a written response to lead petitioner within 20 working days. Number 3, instruct an officer to prepare a report for future meeting of cabinet or committee on the issues raised with a recommended course of action. So now I call upon Councillor Rose to speak. Thank you. You've got 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to start by thanking Anuta and everyone who's been involved in this petition. It's an incredibly impressive display of community organising. We as councillors owe our residents honesty. You will have seen members of the council leave the chamber when we began this discussion because, as you know, they're members of the planning committee which will review this case. On that committee, they must act in a quasi-judicial way and not a political way. They'll be measuring any planning application that may come against the borough's development plan. The question they must ask is not whether this application reflects the concerns of Edgware residents. They must put these political questions to one quasi-judicial session. Is this application compliant with the borough development plan and other guidance? This is a borough development plan which sets no height limits for the area. It states of the Broadwalk site, this site has potential for the creation of a modern urban environment with opportunities for tall building and higher densities. It designates the area as one of higher development potential. That is the document that the members of the planning committee must refer to. A borough development plan is reviewed generally every 10 years, and since that plan was put together in 2021 under the previous administration, it cannot be substantially changed. It was a plan that was put together by the previous Conservative administration. Barnet Conservatives may not have been as careful as they could have been in ensuring every resident know what can now be done. They took that political decision. I know our administration has been negotiating with developers to ensure sympathetic development, but they too are tied by the political decisions made by this plan. I am sorry for you and the residents who may have to take the words from Conservatives to mean that the broad lines of the development is something the administration can affect. We owe our residents honesty, the honesty to say what can be done, and also the honesty to say whose political decision it took to make us to this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mearing-Smith, you've got 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wish, as one of the local councillors for Edgware and somebody who actually lives within 200 metres of this development, to support this petition in the sense of influencing whatever might happen in the future. We're fully well aware, as local councillors, of the issues to do with what has been allowed for by previous plans, what is allowed for under the laws and the regulations of planning. But let us be quite clear, London is a growing community. There are huge housing demands made, and these demands come not just from the local borough, they come from the Mayor's office and indeed from national government. However, as local councillors, we are absolutely adamant this development is too tall, it is too large, there is too dense, there is insufficient parking, there is insufficient infrastructure incorporated in it, and frankly, those of us who have reservations about large electric batteries in vehicles are very, very concerned about the risk of the underground car park. This is, as people are fully well aware, large electric batteries in vehicles are not currently known how to control those fires, and therefore the residents have every right to be very concerned that TFL and the London Fire Brigade do have to figure out how this can possibly be done, and if they don't, that should never be built. So I would therefore urge members of council to support option 3 for this debate. Thank you.
Councillor Houston, you have got 2 minutes. You've got 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Anuta and fellow petitioners. It's important that we hear your views and concerns about the Edgware scheme. I propose also that we go for option 3. As I've said before, this is a scheme that we have inherited. Had we been in control from the beginning, we would have started this process by working with the local community to bring forward the Edgware regeneration proposals. I hear the criticisms about working better with the community to develop the SPD. However, it was supported by the previous administration and local councillors, and the consultation was carried out within the rules. As things stand, 5,000 homes were allocated to this site in the local plan by the last administration with no restriction on height. The parameters for the site were set in a planning framework dating back some time and in the Edgware supplementary planning document. As a new council administration taking office last year, we had very limited room to change things. The local plan was at its final stage, including the site number allocations agreed with the inspector. We sought modifications around height, but substantive changes are difficult. We cannot prevent the developer putting in an application for land they purchased in 2020. They appear to have listened to some feedback, including our representations, and the numbers have come down significantly. They were first revised down to up to 4,000 and now even further down. Maximum building heights have come down from 35 to one block of 29. That is some progress, although I recognise not far enough for those here tonight. In addition, while local policy is for the development to be car-free, we have made it very clear that parking must be part of the scheme. When we have an application, the concerns you have raised will be considered by planning officers and the committee. That will include concerns about infrastructure, affordable housing and the safety of the bus station. It is worth noting that the move to electric vehicles is national government policy, and there is actually an electric vehicle bus station in Paris. It is also important to state that residents comment when the application is published. That is very important. But thank you, petitioners, and I propose option 3.
Thank you. Now I call upon Councillor Wakely. You have got 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to Anuta and the Save Our Edgware team, not just for the petition today, but the work you've been doing. We've had meetings with councillors, you've been leafleting, and you've been making sure that residents in Edgware are involved in this development. I hope what this petition has done for all members in this chamber has highlighted the strength of feeling on this issue. It is always the biggest issue raised with me and my ward colleagues, in our inboxes while we're out and about in Edgware, and even with our colleagues in the town hall. As Edgware councillors, we've been clear about the things we want to see, and that's represented from what you've been telling us, and that's reasonable size and scale. That's adequate parking, both for the new residents and for those who want to use the shops and Station Road. Finally, we want a full consultation of residents and ensure that their views are heard, both those living in Edgware and the communities around who will also be impacted. We completely appreciate the need for new homes in Edgware, and let me be really clear, we welcome development and investment into Edgware. But the current proposals need to be changed. Ballymore and TFL need to listen to what residents in Edgware are saying. Barnet Council must ensure we get the best deal for Edgware, and that is why I encourage all in this chamber to vote for option 3. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, both the Conservative Group and the Labour Group have moved option 3, which is to instruct an officer to prepare a report for a future meeting of a committee on the issues raised with a recommended course of action. And to clarify, that will be a report as and when a planning application is submitted, which covers the issues in the petition. Is that agreed, members?
Is it agreed? Okay, thank you. So we're moving on. So we need to get all the strategic planning committee members to rejoin the council.